get behind the eyes, no life inside their soul. If I had to summarize, that ice has turned them cold. Looking zombified, often fried, almost fossilized off the pipes where they lost their mind. She wasn't right, cannot stop their pride unless they want to try, but they too preoccupied.
Family violence affects many people. It particularly affects children. It's often said, oh, but children are so resilient, they'll get over it. Not necessarily the case. They often don't tend to talk about their terror, their fear, their worries, their anxiety, their depression, their concerns. And it's very important for us to recognise how vital it is for children to have a trusted other, someone they can talk to, someone who can be looking out for them, whether that's a parent, a relative, a sibling, a teacher, a psychologist. It's very important that we respect the children's needs. They need reassurance that it's not their fault. They're not stupid and they are not alone. In this film, I'm introducing you to 3 people who talk about their childhood trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder from family violence. What's interesting is that we see an outer behaviour that is not congruent with their inner feeling. So we see them as being very successful, very creative, but what is hidden is their trauma. I wrote my free ebook, Understanding Family Violence, to explore the psychological underpinnings of violence in terms of the community, members of the family, friends, agencies, our society. I'm suggesting that we need a simultaneous 3-pronged approach, that we have preventative, educative and remedial strategies to eradicate this scourge.
When you get to this cycle of chaos and craziness, it eventually comes to a point where you kind of become numb to it. You still have to be aware of other people, so it definitely teaches you just always be aware of your surroundings. Like, this sounds a bit fucking funny, but like, say when I go and sit in a restaurant, like I'll always want to sit at the back. You know what I mean? Like if I'm on a fucking bus, I want to be towards the back so that, you know, you're still kind of aware of your surroundings. It's just little things that you pay attention to keep yourself secure or safe as an adult.
For me, throughout my life, I've more so endured verbal abuse and as well as violence. And you'll probably see that I do have a stutter, which makes it very, very difficult to talk. And like because of all of these things, I have this like really, really great fear when I'm speaking to people or speaking to like a camera, and I'm in this stage of my life where I'm trying to both accept it and overcome it as well. And I don't think it's spoken about enough. You have probably seen my like various eye movements, and that's a part of it. Motor tics. When I experienced a little bit more stress at home due to certain factors, I used to always gasp but before I spoke.
So I had a split between my public life and my private life. So publicly, when I was a child, I was a professional model and an actor, and I worked because that was the only money coming into our house from when I was very young. We were all petrified because my father was trying to kill us all the time. There was screaming and yelling, and he was choking my mother and my grandmother, and he was threatening us, and there were knives, and it was chaos, and it was terrifying. He left, but he was still around, and then he stalked us. You felt terror all the time because it was life and death. Everything you did was filled with anxiety. You had to be hyper vigilant. Is he around? Is he following us? Is he trying to grab us? Sometimes he would break into the house and he would trash the entire house.
With your nervous system, it's like you get to a certain point of exhaustion of being like in this heightened state, you know, classic like fight or flight shit, like your blood's pumping, like you just feel like tense, like you feel ready to fight, shit like that or whatever. And it kind of manifests into this prolonged, like uncomfortable feeling in your body where it's like you want to jump out of your skin. Like I know it sounds kind of morbid, but it's like you just want to fucking peel back all the layers of all this like stress or sickness that has manifested in you, and you want to get out of it. It can really disrupt things like eating. And that can go on for years. You know, you have trouble eating because your body almost learns to be in this state of tension all the time. It almost freezes you a bit in time within your body. And sometimes one thing I notice is that if I hear like somebody raise their voice, particularly like a male voice raised, instantly my body is just like, because I'm automatically assessing like, is this a situation where I have to be like physically violent so that somebody doesn't do something to me first? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it kind of, yeah, really gets to you, especially when it's like over a certain period of time.
It feels like I'm being choked by my own mind. I could be talking to someone about something important, but I will just freeze on the inside, and like it quite literally feels like my voice box has just been completely paralyzed.
My stomach would churn. My legs would feel like jelly. I would struggle to breathe. I would struggle to get through whatever I was getting through, but I knew I had to be brave, and I couldn't show it. I knew that there wasn't anyone there who could help, so I used to steel myself to not let it show, but I felt anxious and frightened and terrified all the time. I could never have any respite from it. It was always there because the threat is always there.
So would you guys agree that we have all experienced violence as children in different ways, and it has ultimately impacted us differently due to our different circumstances and who we are as people?
Yeah. You know, I've got friends, bro, they've come from, you know, places overseas where they're in a fucking war zone, and they're the most positive, kind, like loving, you know, externally, you know, the mask that they portray is like, you know, not really affected by things. And I don't cry that often, but if I do cry, I'll have a good session, you know, it'll be for like half an hour, like I'll be expelling all this stuff. And there's different ways we expel things, you know, like exercise and like something like this, you know, talking. Like right now I'm expelling whatever it is in me, especially if I'm thinking of these experiences and stuff, or even, you know, yeah. So just you got to get things out of you. You can't hold them in forever, type thing, you know.
I knew my mother did her best, my grandmother did her best. I just instinctively understood we can't talk about it. It's so shameful, and no one else outside our family could ever possibly understand. And it was very hard because there's feelings that you're not okay, you're not good enough. And people would take things for granted in the world, and I really struggled with that. Like, we didn't have enough food to eat, we didn't have any transport. Everywhere we went, it was buses and trains and trams, and getting, you know, held within an inch of my life by my hand, because any minute my dad could be following us in the car, jump out, get a knife and try to drag us into the car. God knows what he was going to do. So you just felt on edge the whole time. There was that humiliation, and people would smirk about what's wrong with you guys.
I have experienced judgment and ultimately humiliation, but in going through all these things that I have, it has allowed me to learn who I am, and ultimately art, mainly being like photography and videography, has helped me to express all the words I want to say. I even do some poetry, and that helps me explain my own personal experience of how I perceive myself, the events in my life.
I knew how much I was loved and cared for by my mother, and she helped me understand there is a way out, and the way out's education.
You don't need to continue to repeat these cycles as an adult, despite how easy or like it just seems to be like something that we do. Like we actually, in our adult relationships, say even if your parents, if you know, they might have like, you know, hit each other or been very abusive towards each other, very aggressive towards each other, like your whole childhood, and that's like your role modeling. You, whether you're the victim or you're the perpetrator, you don't need to live in those cycles. Like everybody deserves better. We don't need to normalize like and in terms of like getting over it, like I don't think you ever really kind of, you know, necessarily get over it. I think you just learn to create more peace in your life and what you deserve. And sometimes it takes a really fucking long time to find that peace. You know, it's almost an illusion in some ways, but you need to do little things for yourself. Like self-care is the best way to get through it. It's something as simple as having a warm shower, going to walk. Like you deserve to look after yourself. You deserve to have loving, caring, beautiful relationships, all that sort of stuff. And you deserve to not be your past, most importantly, because you create the future and feel powerful in that, you know, feel empowered.
I want the three of you to sing Mad World together. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad